Shocking news, folks. Absolutely shocking. Tom Thibodeau has been fired. Yes, you heard me right. Fired by the New York Knicks. I am telling you, I cannot believe what I am hearing right now. Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, is in an absolute uproar. There is pandemonium on the streets of New York City. The decision came down swiftly, right after their unceremonious exit from the playoffs. Did anyone truly see this coming? Maybe the whispers were there for those who listen closely, but the cold, hard reality of it is a haymaker to the jaw. The orange and blue faithful, some of the most passionate fans in all of sports, are in a state of utter disbelief. This changes absolutely everything for this franchise, a team desperate for a championship. The timing of this move is just brutal. Brutal, I tell you. The playoffs conclude, the Knicks fight hard, and then bam! Thibs is shown the door. Gone. Poof. Vanished. What in the world is Leon Rose thinking? What is William Wesley, Worldwide Wes, advising here? This is not just some run-of-the-mill coaching change, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no, this is a statement, a loud, reverberating statement that echoes through the halls of MSG. They are screaming from the rooftops that the current trajectory, despite some commendable regular season success, simply wasn't good enough. The playoffs, that unforgiving crucible, clearly exposed something the front office could no longer stomach. The pressure in New York, it's a different beast entirely. It chews you up and spits you out if you're not careful. So what happens now? What is the immediate aftermath of this earth-shattering decision? Is it unadulterated chaos, or is there a glimmer of opportunity hidden within this madness? The players, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, the whole squad, they must be absolutely stunned, their heads spinning. Thibodeau was renowned, some might say notorious, for his demanding style, for pushing his players to their absolute physical and mental limits. Did that relentless, hard-driving approach finally wear thin? Did the players tune him out? Or was there something else, something deeper and more insidious brewing beneath the surface? The Garden was undeniably electric during those playoff games, a cauldron of noise and passion. But now, an eerie silence from the front office, punctuated only by this singular, monumental decision. This is a major shakeup. And let me be unequivocally clear, this isn't just a sports story. This is a New York story, through and through. The New York Knicks are woven into the very fabric, the DNA of this city. Tom Thibodeau, to his credit, brought a certain undeniable grit, a defensive identity that had been sorely lacking for years. He made them relevant. But the modern NBA, my friends, is a constantly evolving creature. It waits for no one. Was his old-school, defense-first, grinded-out approach becoming a significant liability in a league that increasingly prioritizes offensive firepower, pace, and yes, player rest and load management? These are the critical questions being screamed, not asked, screamed on every sports talk radio show, debated in every barbershop across the 5 boroughs. The debate has officially begun, and it promises to be fierce and unrelenting. Now let's rewind the tape. Let's talk about those playoffs. That bitter end to what many hoped would be a deeper run. The New York Knicks fought, there's no denying that. They showed heart. They displayed that signature Thibodeau grit, the kind of stuff that New York fans live and die for. They respect that effort. But let me ask you this. Was it truly, unequivocally enough? I think not. They battled, they scratched, they clawed with everything they had. But in the end, they lost. They're out. And for a city starving for a title, that's all that matters. That final game, perhaps a specific collapse in a pivotal earlier contest, that series loss as a whole, that had to be the tipping point. You could feel the tension mounting. Clearly, for James Dolan and the Knicks brass, it was. Were there key moments that sealed his fate? You better believe there were. Countless moments under the playoff microscope. Was it a catastrophic late-game turnover that still makes fans shudder? A mind-boggling missed shot with the game on the line? A glaring defensive lapse at the worst possible moment? It was likely all of it, a culmination of failures. Tom Thibodeau's substitution patterns and his minute distribution for star players were once again heavily questioned. And rightly so. Did key players, the ones they rely on most, look completely gassed, their legs betraying them when it mattered most? In the intense cauldron of the NBA playoffs, every single possession, every substitution, every timeout is magnified 1,000 times over. The spotlight was on him, brighter than ever. And this time, the front office blinked. The opponent in that fateful playoff series, they seemed to have all the answers. They always did. They appeared to know what was coming, almost as if they had the Knicks playbook. They exploited certain matchups mercilessly, time and time again. While Tom Thibodeau is universally acknowledged as a defensive guru, a brilliant mind on that side of the ball, did the offense become too stagnant, too predictable, too reliant on Jalen Brunson's individual brilliance or Julius Randle isolating against his man? It certainly looked that way. This isn't the 1990s Knicks anymore, grinding out 85 to 80 victories. You need offensive creativity. You need to score points in bunches. The Knicks, when it truly counted, just didn't have enough offensive firepower or ingenuity. So the prevailing narrative coming out of that playoff exit was one of profound disappointment. That's the word that hung heavy in the New York air. This team, with the talent it possesses, with a bona fide star in Jalen Brunson, should have gone further. Period. No excuses. The fans, as passionate and vocal as any in professional sports, were loud. They always are. They celebrated the undeniable effort, the heart. But they also vehemently questioned the strategic approach, the in-game management. That rising tide of discontent, that palpable frustration from the paying customers, coupled with the front office's own critical assessment, clearly and inevitably led to this dramatic headline-grabbing decision. The bitter taste of yet another postseason defeat simply lingered for far too long. Now let's be fair. We have to be fair to Tom Thibodeau. His tenure with the New York Knicks wasn't all doom and gloom, not by a long shot. He accomplished some very significant things. He brought a measure of respectability and credibility back to a franchise that, for years, was wandering aimlessly in the basketball wilderness, a laughingstock even. He instilled that defensive mindset, that toughness, that grit that had been conspicuously missing from Madison Square Garden for far too long. Do you remember that phenomenal first season under his guidance? Exceeding any and all expectations, storming into the playoffs. That was the Thibs effect. He got Julius Randle playing at an all-NBA level, transforming him into the league's most improved player. That was Thibs. You have to give him his credit for that. He made Madison Square Garden relevant again. The Garden was alive, absolutely electric on game nights. He gave Knicks fans something they hadn't had in a long, long time, genuine hope, something tangible to believe in. That NBA Coach of the Year award he won in 2021? That wasn't some fluke, it was thoroughly deserved for the turnaround he orchestrated. He possesses an uncanny ability to get his players to buy into his system, to give him every single ounce of effort they possess. He demanded accountability, day in and day out. For a significant period, it truly seemed like the perfect marriage. A hard-nosed, demanding coach for a city that respects and adores that kind of blue-collar grit. But as we all know, the league changes, circumstances change, and sometimes even successful styles can clash with long-term aspirations. However, despite the successes, there were undeniable problems. Big problems that couldn't be ignored. The offensive schemes far too often felt stagnant, unimaginative, and overly reliant on isolation plays. There was simply not enough ball movement, not enough player movement, not enough of the beautiful game. The development of some of the younger players on the roster, the future of the franchise, seemed to stall or progress far too slowly under his watch. And then, of course, there were those infamous minutes. The incredibly heavy workload placed upon the starters night after night was a constant, nagging source of debate and serious concern, especially regarding the heightened risk of injuries. Fans worried, experts worried, constantly. Were key players being systematically run into the ground? That question loomed large. Ultimately, his playoff record with the Knicks tells a very crucial part of the story. Getting the team to the postseason, especially after inheriting the mess he did, that was a significant achievement. Great even, some would argue. But advancing deep into the playoffs, consistently winning when the stakes were highest, that proved to be an elusive goal. This year's exit, another second-round departure after a promising regular season campaign, clearly wasn't deemed good enough. Not for this franchise, not for New York City. The expectations had been demonstrably raised, partly due to his own initial success in turning the team around. But when the team seemingly hit a ceiling, when they couldn't get over that next hump, the blame, as it so often does in professional sports, fell squarely and heavily on the shoulders of the head coach. It's a brutal, brutal business, this coaching game. So, the million-dollar question, the one on everyone's lips in the Big Apple, who gets the call? Who is next in line? Who dares to take the reins of the New York Knicks, one of the most scrutinized and high-pressure coaching jobs in all of sports? The speculation is already running absolutely red-hot, ladies and gentlemen. Will the Knicks front office opt for a proven veteran, someone with championship pedigree, a coach who has been there and done that? Or will they take a different path, perhaps looking for a younger, more innovative offensive mind, someone to unlock the full potential of this roster? Names are already flying around like crazy. Jay Wright? Kenny Atkinson, a familiar New York face? Maybe even a complete surprise candidate, someone nobody is talking about. The pressure will be immense from day one for whoever steps into that hot seat. And how are the famously passionate Knicks fans taking this monumental news? As you would expect, it's mixed. Very mixed, believe me when I tell you. Some sections of the fan base are celebrating, popping champagne, believing a change at the top was absolutely necessary to unlock the team's dormant offensive potential and, crucially, to protect the long-term health of their star players. Others, however, are lamenting the loss of a coach who, in their eyes, brought back stability, a winning culture, relatively speaking, and that cherished toughness. The New York Knicks organization, in its official statement, likely offered the standard platitudes. We thank Tom for his contributions and emphasized a desire for a new direction to achieve championship contention. Boilerplate stuff, really. We've heard it all before. This change, make no mistake about it, signals a truly pivotal moment for this historic franchise. Is this the bold move, the calculated gamble, that finally propels them into the Eastern Conference elite on a consistent basis? Or is this, dare I say it, just another frustrating reset in a long, painful line of Knicks resets that have ultimately led nowhere? The roster, as it stands, has legitimate talent. Jalen Brunson is a certified bankable superstar. The supporting cast around him is solid, with good young pieces and valuable veterans. The next coach will inherit a team fully capable of winning games, but also one that carries the immense weight of expectations in the biggest, most demanding media market in the entire world. No pressure, right? Good luck with that. The future for the New York Knicks is undeniably uncertain, shrouded in questions. But it's also filled with that strange, almost irrational kind of hope that always seems to accompany significant change in New York City sports. It never truly dies, that hope. The front office, led by Leon Rose, has made a bold, decisive move. There's no turning back now. Now they absolutely have to get the next hire right. Critically, unequivocally right. Because the clock, my friends, is always ticking in New York City. It never stops. The fans are waiting impatiently. The Garden is waiting expectantly. Another chapter in the dramatic, often turbulent saga of New York Knicks basketball is about to be written. Let's just all hope for their sake that it's a good one, a winning one.